Good morning. We will start today's class. This is a topic we have discussed the other day, velocity triangles. In the case of unsymmetrical moving vane, when the jet strikes tangentially at one of the tips. So in the case of unsymmetrical moving vane, when jet strikes tangentially at one end, and the vane moves in another direction. Here in this case, we considered that the vane is moving horizontally. And now we are familiar with the various velocity components. Absolute velocity of the jet striking is V1, and inlet is 1, outlet is 2. The velocity of the blade, that is U1, and the component of absolute velocity in the direction of U1, that is VW1, that is called world component of velocity. And the effective velocity with which the jet strikes the vane, that is the relative velocity VR1, that is the vector difference between V1 and U1. The component of the absolute velocity V1 in the direction normal to U1, that is called VF1, which is the flow component of velocity. Similarly, at the outlet 2, we have the relative velocity which is tangential at the blade surface at 2, tangential to the blade surface at 2, that is VR2. And VR2 and VR1 will be equal for impulse machines when the blade surface friction is 0. So that means we have, if the assumption that the surface of the blade is perfectly smooth and frictionless, if that assumption holds, then VR2 will be equal to VR1. Otherwise, VR2 in practical cases, we take it as equal to K times VR1, where K is the blade surface friction coefficient, the value which we used to take between 0.9, 0.8 and 0.9. And now at the outlet, the absolute velocity of the jet is V2, and it has got components VW2 and VF2, one in the direction of U2 and one perpendicular to U2. So in the direction of U2, we have the component of V2 in the direction of U2, that is VW2, that is called world component of velocity at outlet, and VF2 is the component normal to U2, that is called flow component at outlet. And the vane angles at inlet and outlet, vane angle at inlet is theta and vane angle at outlet is phi. And guide blade angle at inlet is alpha and guide blade angle at outlet is beta. So now we are familiar with these components. Now we will proceed and derive an important equation in the case of turbo machineries, that is called Euler's momentum equation for turbo machinery. That is essentially a torque equation. If you consider that number of these kind of unsymmetrical vanes we discussed, number of unsymmetrical vanes are fixed on the periphery of say a wheel, and then the jet is striking the vanes one after the other. Then the torque developed in the wheel, the torque developed to cause the wheel to rotate. So how do we find out that? So Euler's momentum equation for turbo machinery, so that is an extremely important equation in the context of turbo machineries, because that gives the expression for torque developed in the case of power producing devices or torque imparted to the fluid in the case of power consuming devices. Now consider Newton's second law of motion as applicable to rotation. That law states that the torque exerted is directly proportional to the rate of change of angular momentum. So when Newton's law of motion as applied to linear motion or translation, you have force exerted proportional to the rate of change of linear momentum. So here, instead of force, you have torque in the context of rotation. So torque is proportional to the rate of change of angular momentum. So torque is equal to derivative of the angular momentum, let's say h, with respect to time. So dh by dt. So you can say that that is equal to the rate at which the change of angular momentum takes place. So this equality is used when we employ SI units. Otherwise, we say torque is proportional to rate of change of angular momentum. So torque developed when the jet strikes the vanes fitted on a wheel and the wheel rotates, and we are trying to find out the torque or twisting moment. That is equal to the rate of change of angular momentum, and that is equal to the rate at which the change of angular momentum takes place. So that is angular momentum of the fluid at inlet minus angular momentum of the fluid at outlet divided by time. So the angular momentum of the fluid at inlet, so you can find out from this expression, that is the mass flow rate multiplied by the velocity of the fluid in the direction of u1, that is Vw1, multiplied by the radius of rotation at the inlet. So we used to say mvr, but here the velocity we are referring to is the velocity of the fluid in the direction of direction of motion of the vane. So that is in the direction of u1. That is Vw1. And I told you the other day, Vw1 and Vw2 are important since these components are responsible for the torque generation. So m dot mass flow rate multiplied by the velocity of fluid in the direction of u1, which is also called a tangential velocity of the fluid, when you refer to a situation where the blades are fixed on a wheel. So R1 is the radius of rotation. So that means the radius of the rotating wheel from its center to the inlet point. So m dot Vw1 R1, so that is the rate of angular momentum possessed by the fluid at inlet. Now the rate of angular momentum possessed by the fluid at outlet, that is mass flow rate multiplied by tangential velocity of the fluid at outlet, that is a whirl component, Vw2 multiplied by R2. R2 is again the radius of the outlet from the center of the rotating wheel. Remember, we are considering a context when the unsymmetrical vanes are fixed on a general case where the unsymmetrical vanes are fixed on a wheel and the jet is impinging the blades and the force is exerted, the torque is developed and the wheel is set into rotation, and we are quantitatively we want to find out that torque, a theoretical expression for the same, that is called Euler's torque. So it is m dot Vw1 R1 minus m dot Vw2 R2, and you know that mass flow rate, normally we used to write rho a v, but this time you can write in terms of volume flow rate, you can express that area into velocity part, that effective velocity part. So you can write q, that is the discharge or volume flow rate in meter cube per second when you consider SI units, and rho is the mass density of the fluid. In the case of hydraulic turbines, it is water density. So rho Q is the mass flux or mass flow rate in kilogram per second. So m dot is common and m dot can be taken out. M dot into VW1 R1 minus VW2 R2, and m dot can be written as rho Q. So rho Q into VW1 R1 minus VW2 R2, that is the theoretical or Euler's torque developed in this context. In fact, this is the expression we were searching for, an Euler's momentum equation for the torque. So torque developed or torque imparted, because this equation can be used for the turbo machineries, whether it is regardless of whether that is power producing device or power consuming device. Power producing devices such as turbine and power consuming devices such as pumps and compressors. So in all turbo machineries, you can make use of this expression. But one thing to be noted, when you talk about the torque developed by torque developed in the case of power producing devices, this is rho Q into VW1 R1 minus VW2 R2. So the situation, we proceed from inlet to the outlet. But in the case of torque imparted to the fluid, in the context of power consuming devices such as pumps or blowers, fans, compressors, etc., this equation will be rho Q into VW2 R2 minus VW1 R1. That means we want to proceed from outlet to inlet. So that the only thing is that it is negative of that. So for the case of power producing devices like turbines, this torque developed TE is equal to rho Q into VW1 R1 minus VW2 R2. But in the case of power consuming devices, this torque imparted to the fluid, then that is equal to rho Q into VW2 R2 minus VW1 R1. And the SI unit of torque, as you know, Newton meter. Now we will try to find out the Euler's power or theoretical power developed. What is that? That is the work done by the fluid per second on the wheel or on the blade in the context of power producing devices. Primarily we are talking about power producing devices, say hydraulic turbine energized by water flow. So Euler's power is equal to this torque, already, Euler's torque multiplied by angular velocity. So torque multiplied by angular velocity is the power. So Euler's power, so you can represent by P suffix E, is equal to torque developed, that is theoretical Euler's torque developed, multiplied by angular velocity. What is angular velocity? If the rotational speed of the wheel or the rotor is n RPM, revolution per minute, then angular velocity in radian per second is given by 2 pi n by 60. And if you multiply the torque rho Q into VW1 R1 minus VW2 R2 by the angular velocity, this is the expression, that is the rate of work done or Euler power, that is equal to rho Q into VW1 R1 minus VW2 R2 into omega. And this omega can be taken inside. So what do you get? Rho Q into VW1 into omega R1 in the first term, and the second term it is minus VW2 into omega R2. So you are familiar with omega R1 already. Omega R1, so that means velocity of the plate at inlet U1, and omega R2, the velocity of the plate of the vane or blade, okay? So that U2 at outlet. So U1 is omega R1, which of course in terms of rotational speed in RPM n, and in the diameter of the wheel at outlet and inlet D1 and D2, if you make use of, then U1 is pi D1 n by 60 and U2 is pi D2 n by 60. Remember, D1, capital D1 and D2 are the diameters at inlet and outlet. So omega R1, omega R2 can be replaced by U1 and U2. You can call it tangential velocity of the wheel at inlet, tangential velocity of the wheel at outlet also. VW1 and VW2, as I told you already, those are the velocity components of the fluid in the direction of U1 and U2, respectively at inlet and outlet. Tangential velocity of the fluid at inlet is VW1, tangential velocity of the fluid at outlet is VW2, and U1 is the tangential velocity of the wheel at inlet or the blade at inlet. Tangential velocity of the blade at outlet is U2. So rho PE is equal to rho Q into VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2, and this is the power equation or work done by the fluid per second on the runner. If it is hydraulic turbine, it is work done by water per second on the runner. In the case of power producing turbo machineries, the rotating part is called a runner, and power consuming devices like compressors and all, the rotating part is called an impeller. So PE is equal to rho Q into VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2. That is the equation for Euler power or theoretical power developed. And in the case of power consuming devices, you should reverse this. You should take negative of this. That is rho Q into VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1. Already you know that the unit of power is joule per second or watts. Now, for solving numerical problems and all, if the discharge is not available, very often we try to find out the work done per unit mass of fluid striking. So work done per unit mass of water in the context of hydraulic machines. So work done per unit mass of fluid. So that is, how do you find out that? Simply you divide this Euler power by mass flow rate. So if we divide that, see this PE, Euler power or theoretical power developed, work done per second by the fluid on the rotating wheel, divided by mass flow rate, m dot, it is equal to mass flux or rho Q in kilogram per second. And what you will get? Rho Q into VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 divided by rho Q. The power is in joule per second or watts, joule per second, and mass flow rate in kilogram per second. So if you simplify these units, what do you get? Joule per kg. So that is work done per unit mass of fluid striking. In the case of water flow or hydraulic machines, it is work done per unit mass of water. So that is joule per kg. What is that expression? Rho Q and rho Q will be cancelled. You simply get an expression in terms of velocities only. VW1, VW2, U1 and U2. You're familiar with the components already. So work done per unit mass of water, that is VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 in the context of hydraulic turbines. If it is a pump, then it will be VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1. So negative of that. So that much joule per kg. Please take care of the units. So work done per unit weight of water. Unit weight of water, instead of dividing the Euler power by the mass flow rate, you divide the oil. If you divide the Euler power by the weight flow rate, what is weight flow rate? So weight flow rate W dot is equal to a mass flow rate multiplied by gravitational acceleration. So m dot g. So what is the unit? It is Newton per second. So weight flow rate is Newton per second. So if you divide the Euler power, what is that? Rho Q into VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 divided by the mass flow rate multiplied by G. What is that? Weight flow rate, rho Q into G. So rho Q into G, what you're going to get? VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 divided by G. This is an extremely important expression because this gives the work done per unit weight of the fluid. And in the case of hydraulic turbine, it is work done per unit weight of water. And what is its unit? The numerator it is joule per second and denominator it is Newton per second. So you'll get joule per Newton. What is joule per Newton? So you know that 1 joule is 1 Newton meter. So joule per Newton, that means meter. So that means it is a head rating. So it is an important expression because this gives the Euler head developed. See, normally we say the head impressed by the fluid, flowing fluid on the wheel or on the runner, that is given by VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 divided by G, joule per Newton or meters of flowing fluid. So Euler's head developed in the context of power producing devices or power producing turbo machineries, that is same as the work done per unit weight of fluid. In the context of hydraulic turbine, it is work done per unit weight of water, and that is VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 divided by G. What is the unit? Either you can write work done per unit weight joule per Newton, or it is meters of flowing fluid. So meters of water in the context of hydraulic turbine. So Euler's head developed or head impressed by water on the runner. That is VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 by G. So please remember the unit in which you obtain this. It's a head rating. And in the case of power consuming devices like fans, blowers, pumps and compressors, the relation will be Euler head developed is VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1 divided by G. The components at outlet we will start with, that is VW2 U2 minus VW1 U1 by G. In the case of power producing devices, from inlet to the outlet, that is VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 by G. See, now this is the Euler's head developed in terms of the four velocity components VW1, VW2, U1 and U2. You are familiar with these components already. But very often we require this head developed in terms of the velocity components V1, V2. Those are the absolute velocity components of the fluid stream or fluid jet at inlet and outlet. Then VR1, VR2. Those are the relative velocity components at inlet and outlet, and U1 and U2, the velocity of the vane at inlet and outlet. So in terms of V1, V2, U1, U2, VR1, VR2, what could be this expression equal to? That is our next target. And when you derive it for a turbine, popularly it is known as Euler's turbine head equation. So Euler's head equation for the turbine. So for that purpose, what do we do? See, at inlet, you are familiar with this triangle. This is velocity triangle at inlet. So we have absolute velocity V1, the velocity, its component in the direction of U1, that is VW1, and then U1, that is the velocity of the vane at inlet. And the relative velocity is the vector difference of V1 and U1, that is VR1. So we are familiar with that triangle. So if you consider this triangle on AB1 alone, see the diagram will be like this. So A, B and the inlet 1. See, from this triangle, the three sides V1, U1 and VR1. So what is the angle between V1 and U1? So that is the guide vane angle or guide blade angle at inlet. So if you are given V1 and U1 and the included angle, the angle between them alpha, then how do you find out VR1? So in a triangle, in any triangle, if you have two sides and included angle, then how do you find out the third side? So we can make use of cosine law. So if you have V1, U1 and included angle alpha between them, how to get VR1? That is the third side of the triangle. Okay. So the expression goes like this. If you employ the cosine law applicable for triangles. So VR1 square, the third unknown side square, that is equal to the sum of the squares of the given sides V1 square plus U1 square minus 2 V1 U1 cos alpha. So this is actually the popular cosine law. So VR1 square is equal to V1 square plus U1 square minus 2 times V1 U1 into cosine of the angle between them, that is alpha in this case. So VR1 square is equal to V1 square plus U1 square minus 2 V1 U1 cos alpha. That is the expression you get when you apply cosine law. So VR1 square is equal to V1 square plus U1 square. The third term you can simplify. See, you already know V1 cos alpha. See, if you take V1 cos alpha from the inlet velocity triangle, what do you get? V1 cos alpha, that is VW1. So you can replace V1 cos alpha by the velocity component VW1. If you do that, the third term in this expression will change to 2 times VW1 U1. So VR1 square is equal to V1 square plus U1 square minus 2 times VW1 U1. So our objective is to get an expression for VW1 U1. So transpose the other terms, take the terms, other terms to the other side. So what do you get? VW1 U1 will be V1 square plus U1 square minus VR1 square divided by 2. Simply taking VW1 U1 to the left hand side and then writing down all the other terms to the other side, right hand side, then you will get this. So VW1 U1 will be V1 square plus U1 square minus VR1 square whole divided by 2. Similarly, from the outlet velocity triangle, see separately I have drawn the outlet velocity triangle. The vane tip at outlet is shown here. The triangle at outlet, velocity triangle at outlet is this one, as we explained before. So the relative velocity component is VR2, U2 is the velocity of the blade at outlet, V2 is the absolute velocity of the fluid at outlet. Okay, if you consider these three, that is VR2, V2 and U2, and the angle between V2 and U2, that is beta, that is a vane, guide blade angle at, or guide vane angle at outlet. So if you draw that, if you mark those dimensions in this triangle and let the triangle be named as CD and outlet 2. So from the triangle CD2, the two sides V2, U2 and angle between them is beta, and the third side is VR2. So if you take like that and apply cosine law, the two sides, say the known sides V2 and U2 and the angle between them is beta, and apply cosine law for the unknown side, say VR2. So VR2 square then will be similar to the earlier expression. We get VR2 square is V2 square plus U2 square minus 2 times V2 U2 cos beta. Beta is the angle or guide blade angle between U2 and V2, included angle between V2 and U2. And V2 cos beta, see from this right triangle, small right triangle inside, which is inside the bigger one. So if you take V2 cos beta from this right triangle, so what do you get? VW2. So V2 cos beta is equal to VW2. So if you substitute over here, instead of V2 cos beta, you can write V2 cos beta is equal to VW2. So substitute over here. So what do you get? V2 square plus U2 square minus 2 times VW2 U2 on the right hand side. This is equal to VR2 square. Okay. And what is our objective? We want to get an expression for VW2 U2, the product of VW2 and U2. So taking that to the left hand side and bringing the other terms to the right hand side, what do you get? VW2 U2 is equal to V2 square plus U2 square minus VR2 square whole divided by 2. See the expressions 5 and 6. VW1 U1 and VW2 U2. We got two expressions in terms of V1 U1 VR1 for the inlet case, V2 U2 VR2 the outlet case. See, we already obtained the expression for Euler's head in terms of VW1, VW2, U2 and U1. See this? So VW1 U1 minus VW2 U2 divided by G, that is Euler's head developed. And in that expression, you replace VW1 U1 and VW2 U2 collectively by these two expressions given by equations 5 and 6. So substitute 5 and 6 in equation 4. What do you get? Euler's head developed will be, see, this 1 by G can be written in front, and VW1 U1, instead of that you are writing this V1 square plus U1 square minus VR1 square by 2. And for VW2 U2, you can write V2 square plus U2 square minus VR2 square whole divided by 2, and there is a minus sign in front of it. Take care of this minus sign. So when you take LCM, 2 is the denominator, so that can be taken in front. So 1 by 2G into what is going to happen? V1 square plus U1 square minus VR1 square. Then this second, from the second term, so when you open the bracket, actually there is a negative sign common for all these three terms, V2 square, U2 square and VR2 square. So when you open the bracket, let's say, even though I haven't shown a bracket over here, when you write down the terms openly, so what you can get is minus V2 square minus U2 square and plus VR1 plus VR2 square. So what do you get? When you group it properly, taking V1 square, writing V1 square, V2 square, you can group it V1 square minus V2 square, then plus U1 square, and here it will be minus U2 square. So U1 square minus U2 square. Then, but consider minus VR1 square, and this term, when you open it, it will become plus VR2 square. So VR2 square can be written in front because that is plus, then minus VR1 square. So that order is reversed. So now distribute the denominator 2G now. So what do you get? V1 square minus V2 square by 2G plus U1 square minus U2 square by 2G plus VR2 square minus VR1 square by 2G. See, only for that relative velocity part, the components are reversed. Otherwise, it is from 1 to 2. This time, for relative velocity components, it is from 2 to 1. So please take a note of it. So Euler's head developed the important Euler's turbine head equation or power producing devices. This is that equation, V1 square minus V2 square by 2G, that is the first term, Roman numeral 1, that represents this one, and the number second term, Roman numeral 2, U1 square minus U2 square by 2G, the third term, that is VR2 square minus VR1 square by 2G. See, the first term actually represent, that contains V1 and V2, V1 square, V2 square, the second term U1 square, U2 square, and the third term VR2 square and VR1 square. And this first one represents the change in dynamic pressure head. So please note this, V1 square minus V2 square by 2G, that represents the change in dynamic pressure head of the fluid. And the second term, U1 square minus U2 square by 2G, that is known as the change in centrifugal pressure head. The change in centrifugal head, that is the second term. And the third term, VR2 square minus VR1 square by 2G. Please take a note of the order. That third term, that represents the change in relative velocity head. And these three terms are extremely important, out of which the second and the third one collectively represents the change in static pressure head. The change in static pressure head. So as you know that the total stagnation pressure head is the sum of dynamic pressure head and the static pressure head. Static pressure head plus dynamic pressure head is stagnation pressure head or total pressure head from fluid mechanics. And this time the total Euler's head developed in the case of power producing turbo machineries. So that is the change in dynamic head plus change in centrifugal head plus change in relative velocity head, or you can say change in dynamic head, that is 1, plus the sum of 2 and 3 together, that is change in static pressure head. So total head HE is a change in dynamic head plus change in static pressure head. I repeat, the change in the centrifugal head and change in relative velocity head, if you add together, you will get change in static pressure heads. Change in static pressure head, that represents the energy transformation from one form to the other. Usually that is from the pressure head to kinetic head in terms of, in the case of power producing devices. So in the case of power producing devices, the change in static pressure head actually represents the conversion of pressure head to kinetic head. And in the case of power consuming devices, the change in static pressure head, that in the case of power consuming devices, that represents the conversion of kinetic head into pressure head. Okay, or conversion of kinetic energy into pressure energy, say. So change in dynamic head plus change in static pressure head, that gives the total pressure head developed. So that's very important expression. Please take a note of these three terms. Those are important, that can explain the kind of energy transformation or energy conversion that takes place in turbo machineries. Let me remind you, the first term, change in dynamic head, that represents energy transfer. And the second and the third term collectively represents the change in static pressure head, and that represents the energy transformation from one form to the other. So in the case of reaction turbines, and this change in static pressure head will exist, that is energy transformation. But in the case of pure impulse machines, like a Pelton wheel, we need to consider the change in dynamic head alone, that represents the energy transfer from the fluid to the runner. The other one represents the energy conversion or energy transformation from one form to the other. So we have an important term called a degree of reaction, R. So degree of reaction for turbo machineries, that is defined as the ratio of change in static pressure head to the change in total pressure head of the fluid as it passes over the vanes. So change in static pressure head, that is terms 2 and 3 together, these two terms together, divided by change in total pressure head, that is the sum of the three terms together, that is HE, Euler's head. So degree of reaction R is equal to U1 square minus U2 square by 2G, that is change in the centrifugal pressure head, plus change in relative velocity head, that is VR2 square minus VR1 square by 2G. These two terms collectively represents the change in static pressure head of the fluid as it passes over the blades mounted on the rotating wheel, divided by the total Euler head developed, HE. Very important thing is, for an impulse machine, this change in static pressure head is theoretically 0. So the degree of reaction will be change in static pressure head, that is 0 for pure impulse machines, divided by total head, even though the dynamic head is there. See, the dynamic head V1 square minus V2 square by 2G, that represents the energy transfer from the fluid to the runner, that will be there in the case of impulse machines. So for pure impulse machines, just like an impulse turbine, say Pelton turbine, for example, the degree of reaction theoretically will be 0. Before I wind up today's class, let me remind you that this equation, the sum of the three terms representing the Euler's head developed or imparted, Euler's head developed in the case of power producing turbo machineries, and Euler's head imparted to the fluid in the case of power consuming turbo machineries. See that the order has to be reversed. That is, the equation which is presented over here, that is for the power producing turbo machinery such as turbines. And when you write down this Euler's head imparted to the fluid in the case of power consuming turbo machineries, the order has to be reversed. That equation will remain the same, the terms will remain the same, but Euler's head developed in the case of power consuming turbo machineries will be HE is equal to V2 square minus V1 square by 2G plus U2 square minus U1 square by 2G plus VR1 square minus VR2 square by 2G. Only the third term, the order is from 1 to 2, and the first two terms, the order will be from 2 to 1 in the case of power consuming turbo machinery such as pumps, compressors, fans, or blowers. So this is an extremely important equation because this is applicable for all turbo machineries. And this equation helps us to find out which all terms, based on which all terms are available, whether there is energy transfer only or whether there is energy transformation as the fluid passes over the blades or vanes. Thank you so much.